Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Champions League matchday prediction video. We're already on matchday 4 now, and matchday 4's matchups are exactly the same as matchday 3. We're just changing who's the home side. So we're basically determining if each of the clubs that lost can make a comeback or not. Should be an interesting video. Now, I've uploaded loads and loads of prediction videos onto the channel and haven't really done anything else recently, besides the shorts, obviously. It seems like you guys are enjoying the prediction videos, and I'm really happy about that. They're definitely here to stay, but just to let you know, I am planning on diversifying the content a little bit more. But yeah, for now, we're gonna have back-to-back prediction videos, Champions League, and then the Euro qualifier matchday 9 and 10 predictions, as those are the final match days for the qualifier campaign. Now, looking at my matchday 3 predictions, not too great. Pretty similar to matchday 1 actually, but definitely better than matchday 2. That was just a disaster. I decided to play a ×2 booster on the Celtic Atletico Madrid match, which was definitely not a good idea. The only match I got a perfect scoreline out of was Young Boys versus Manchester City. Some results did not go my way despite the scoreline being a bit close. For example, Sevilla versus Arsenal. I said a draw, 2-2, ended up being 2-1 instead. And then the other match in that group, it did finish in a draw, 1-1, but I went for a 1-0 victory for PSV. So just a lot of stuff just not going my way, but that's okay. Let me know how you guys did, as always, in the comments below, and your predictions for matchday 4. Drop another like if you haven't already, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it, starting off with Shakhtar versus Barcelona. Last time, Barcelona grabbed a very narrow win at their home ground against Shakhtar, finishing 2-1. Could have been better. And in the meantime, Barcelona did just blow a lead in El Clasico with the same exact scoreline. I am recording this before they play Real Sociedad, and that's not going to be an easy fixture either. They've been in solid form themselves. But for this matchup in particular, can Shakhtar pull off something here? I mean, they obviously put off a good fight. Their only shot on target did go in though, but it should have been better for Barcelona still. They are in a high tense situation right now. Not only do they need to continue their Champions League success in what's supposed to be a doable group, it's also a very tight La Liga race right now, especially after just losing to Real Madrid. Regardless of what happens against Real Sociedad, I still think Barcelona have what it takes to get 3 points here. Maybe they will be halted, and I actually think Shakhtar will be able to score against them once again. But this time I'm saying Barcelona scored 3 goals. It finishes 3-1. Now moving on to Dortmund versus Newcastle. Dortmund definitely ruined a lot of people's predictions here. I know some people are still believing in this club, but after Newcastle demolished PSG, many people were expecting them to clean up Dortmund as well, especially at St. James's Park. That result, though, has the group very much wide open. Dortmund and Newcastle sharing points at 2nd and 3rd, PSG at the top with 6 points, and AC Milan at the bottom with 2. I'm going to say this every time I'm going over a prediction for a fixture in this group. It's a flip of a coin. I mean, it's already been known since the beginning that these clubs are all pretty well balanced with one another and anything is possible. If Dortmund can do it once again, that would be massive. They could potentially shut Newcastle out of this race. But after that, who knows? Maybe they can climb up once again. A lot of people were sleeping on Dortmund since the beginning of this as well, as their squad looked weaker compared to last season, and the fact that they blew the title race for the Bundesliga, I mean, people just started to lose faith in them. I think since they are playing at home, though, they can hold off a solid result. Maybe not to what they wish for. I'm going for that popular prediction of 1-1. I do think it's going to finish in a draw. Newcastle do have a few injuries and some bans, but still a very solid squad, and I don't think the morale is going to be taken away by too much. I mean, they demolished Manchester United 3-0 in the Carabao Cup. Now for Porto versus Antwerp. Porto, despite being away, grabbed a very solid win in Belgium, 4-1. Before then, all their fixtures were looking very close, so this was a massive win for them. Evanilson came off the bench and scored a hat-trick in that match. I'm sorry, Antwerp, but I think it's safe to say that Porto got this in the bag. Maybe it won't be as massive of a win, but I'm gonna go for 2-0. Next up, Crvena Zvezda versus RB Leipzig. In the last fixture, RB Leipzig beat Crvena Zvezda 3-1 at home, but now they'll be playing in Belgrade. Could that make a difference? Leipzig looked to be a very promising side, of course. After beating Crvena Zvezda, they destroyed Köln 6-0, but then in a cup match, they got knocked out to Wolfsburg. I hope Crvena Zvezda prove me wrong, but even in the Serbian league, they are not looking as dominant compared to before. So I don't know if that Belgrade atmosphere will make a difference. I'm sorry. Please prove me wrong, but I'm going to go for RB Leipzig winning this match 2-0. Now for Manchester City versus Young Boys. Look at all those popular predictions. 4-0. 3-0, 6-0, 5-0. Everyone's expecting a demolition. Last time I went bold to say Young Boys could potentially score. And they did. After many people were also expecting a kind of demolition like this. Manchester City were in some Not terrible form, but interesting form. Losing to Arsenal narrowly, barely beating Brighton, I guess just conceding when they shouldn't, but they did keep a clean sheet against Manchester United and scored 3 goals against them. So although last time I wasn't agreeing with those clean sheet popular pick scorelines, I think this time they can do the job. It's tough to say, but I definitely think their confidence is shining right now, so I'm going to go for 5-0. Next up, a match I'm actually attending. AC Milan versus PSG. Last time, PSG demolished them 3-0. AC Milan have yet to pick up a win in this Champions League campaign, or a goal for that matter. Their other 2 fixtures finished in a 0-0 defeat. And look, the most popular prediction here, people are saying AC Milan can score 2. PSG's only massive slip in this Champions League campaign was to Newcastle after losing 4-1. Other than that, they've been doing okay. Since PSG destroyed AC Milan the first time around, they did play Napoli, and they did blow a 2-0 lead. So I'm sorry. I really hope I'm wrong on this because, like I said, I am going to this match, so I would love to see an incredible atmosphere at the San Siro. Everybody passionate and happy with goals being scored finally for the club. But I'm saying they failed to score once again. I'm going to go for PSG winning this 2-0. Now for Lazio versus Feyenoord. Feyenoord with a massive win against Lazio at their own home ground. They did lose their next game, but knowing this club, they won't let their mentality slip. It was their first match they lost all season. And now some players that were injured like Ivanovic are back. He's obviously not the star man though. Jimenez is. He didn't play against Atletico, but did against Lazio and scored a brace against them. Besides this match, Lazio have really been relying on clutch moments in this Champions League campaign. And even recently in the Serie A, their last match against Fiorentina, they won 1-0 from a Ciro Immobile 95th minute penalty. Right now, Feyenoord sit at the top, but if they're halted to Lazio here, they could definitely lose that position, as Atletico Madrid are not too far off themselves, and if Lazio win, they will have more points against them. Regardless of Feyenoord getting a very solid result against Lazio last time, I definitely think this match is a flip of a coin. I went for 1-1 last time, and I was obviously wrong. But you know what? I'm going to go for it once again. But I'm going to say Feyenoord are still able to somewhat pull their weight here. Maybe just not go all out like last time. Now for Atletico Madrid versus Celtic. Like I mentioned earlier, Celtic surprised many by clinching a point against the mighty Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid still remain undefeated in this group, but are sitting at second place. Celtic at the bottom. Can Celtic make things interesting and compete? I would love to see it. But now, this match is in Spain. I think Atletico can do the job here. I am going to lock in that 2-0 scoreline for them. Now for Real Sociedad versus Benfica. Benfica have really had a dreadful Champions League campaign so far. Just like AC Milan, they have not scored a single goal yet. But unlike AC Milan, they haven't drawn any matches. It's only been losses. Last time, even though they were the home side, they lost to Real Sociedad 1-0. And it's strange because despite these terrible Champions League performances, they are doing okay for themselves in the Portuguese league. Not brilliantly, but not terrible. They only picked up 1 loss so far. It's a tough one to call. I had so much belief for Benfica at the beginning of this campaign, and I don't know. It's every time I want to believe in them, it's just thrown out the window every single time. Thought they could at least pick up a point against Real Sociedad last time. I'm struggling to have belief in them, but we have seen other clubs turn things around despite having a dreadful first half. I don't know. I'll be hopeful for them one more time and say they can at least get a point. I'll say they finally score their first Champions League goal. It finishes 1-1. Same scoreline I went for last time. Now for Napoli versus Union Berlin. I said this in the last video and it hasn't changed at the time of this recording. I don't know what's going to happen in the next Bundesliga match day, but for now, Union Berlin have still not won a match since August. We'll see what happens against Frankfurt, but that's just terrible, man. They're just above relegation zone at the moment in the Bundesliga. Napoli have their form for the most part. They do have randomly some inconsistent patches. For now, they are starting to build momentum. Coming back recently against AC Milan, they just narrowly beat Union Berlin last time around 1-0. Rudi Garcia is not really loved by many people, but he is just barely doing the job for now. And I do think he can grab another win against Union Berlin. I'm going to go for 2-1. Now for Salzburg versus Inter Milan. Last time Inter Milan got a 2-1 victory at their own home ground. And this side definitely remain the heavy favorites in this fixture, as they've been doing really well in Italy as well. Currently at the top of the table in the Serie A. The duo of Martinez and Thuram continues to shine. I'm going to say they're able to get an even more comfortable win here of 2-0. Now for Braga versus Real Madrid. A matchup that also went quite narrow. Real Madrid just getting the away win in Portugal, Jude Bellingham being the hero once again. With them playing at the Santiago Bernabeu this time around, I think they can make it even more. I'll say Braga are still able to score, but I'm going to go for an ambitious scoreline of 4-1. Now for PSV versus Lens. Finished 1-1 last time around. Lens are currently second place in this group, undefeated. They seem like the easiest team to write off, but they haven't lost to any of these clubs yet. Will it finally come? It's strange that PSV are struggling in this Champions League group because they're really excelling in the Eredivisie. 10 for 10 wins at the time of this recording. But in the Champions League, bottom of the table, no wins, 2 draws and 1 demolition to Arsenal. This time I'm saying PSV can finally get their first win. Lens will put off a good fight, but I'm going to go for that popular prediction of 2-1. Now for Arsenal versus Sevilla. Arsenal got the best of them last time around, 2-1 away, even in Seville. Now they'll be playing at the Emirates, and as we know, Arsenal have been in fantastic form. At the moment, undefeated in the Premier League. But that being said, they surprisingly got knocked out of the Carabao Cup, losing to West Ham. Seemed like Arteta was not playing the strongest lineup for that fixture, though. No discredit to West Ham, of course. Brilliant win, but I do think Arsenal can come out strong in this matchup in particular in the Champions League, especially if they're playing at the Emirates. I hate to always pick the popular one, but I am going to go for 3-1 in this. Now for Copenhagen versus Manchester United. Last time, Manchester United grabbed a very narrow 1-0 victory. Harry Maguire scored, and Onana made a stoppage time penalty save. Who would have thought? But I'm sorry, since then, Manchester United have not really been excelling. They lost to Manchester Derby 3-0, and then they lost to Newcastle 3-0 in the Carabao Cup. Copenhagen really put off a fantastic fight in this. I have to say, they are probably one of the unluckier teams in this Champions League season so far. They've drawn to Galatasaray at the beginning, leading for most of the match in Turkey, and then narrowly lost to Bayern Munich and Manchester United. Despite United winning the last one, I would not rule out Copenhagen here. This United squad seems to be in a bit of chaos, and Copenhagen could finally have some luck going their way, especially if they're the home side. I'm going to go bold and say that Copenhagen make this interesting. It finishes in a 0-0 draw. And finally, Bayern Munich versus Galatasaray. Galatasaray were at an all-time high after beating Manchester United, but then they lost to Bayern Munich at their own home ground 3-1. And I'm sorry, despite the admirable squad and effort so far, I think we're going to see quite a similar scoreline, but this time I'm going to say they score no goals. It finishes 3-0 for Bayern Munich. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are all of my Champions League match day 4 predictions. Maybe it was a bit more brief on this one compared to the other videos because we've already seen all these fixtures before. So technically, if you're making a prediction video, it's somewhat more straightforward on what could potentially happen. But I hope we see some surprises. I hope I'm wrong on some of these. Let me know your predictions, like I said, in the comments below. Euro 2024 qualifiers match days 9 and 10 will be out next, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care. Lá com noite.